There's something not quite right with a number of players in terms of their levels at the moment. Not saying that they're all good players, but they're just not. They're not doing that extra bit that they need to do. Some of them. So welcome back to BCFC Royal Blue. Now, after a really disappointing 3-0 defeat at the last time out against Coventry City, Birmingham City are back in action shortly after on Tuesday evening against Sheffield Wednesday, back at St.Andrews at KnightheadPark. And this podcast, myself and Matt, as always, are going to preview the game, preview the opponents, tell you a little bit about Sheffield Wednesday, and give our opinions on what we think the starting lineup will be. So, Tuesday night, Matt, under the lights against a Sheffield Wednesday team that are improving.
They're in form, aren't they? Well, if you take their last couple of games, for sure. And I found this one was a tricky one to prepare for, Dad, because of everything Sheffield Wednesday are going through. You know, it feels like a club being effectively destroyed from the inside out with Chanziri and the ownership. You know, they can't even buy any players until 2027. I know they're relying on a few fringe players and a few youth players to fill the squad up. So, you know, when you're doing your research on Sheffield Wednesday, it's quite tricky to do because, you know, you're kind of going on a current form table, aren't you, and recent games and stuff. But, so in their second to last game, Dad, they beat Portsmouth away. And obviously me and you now do like a post-championship weekend review. And we both said how much of a surprise that was. And literally, we're doing this on the Saturday evening because we played on the 12:30 game today. They just drew with QPR 1-1 as well.
Yeah.
So
and that's a good result because QPR won their last 3 games prior to that, and we're on the up. So that's it seems they're improving. But
it's difficult, isn't it, Dad, Blues to play Sheffield Wednesday when they hit a bit of form?
Yeah, but I think, you know, again, Sheffield Wednesday fans, you know, good fans, really good fans, really support and get behind their clubs. And it's horrible to see, you know, that things that are outside of their control are actually ruining their club. You know,
to have to protest that on their opening game of the season away at Leicester and not go to their seats for the first, was it 10 minutes or something?
5 minutes.
5 minutes or something. Yeah. So, you know, to have to go through that must be a pretty awful feeling as a fan base. I think that's a nice way to start the podcast. I guess just a bit of an appreciation for what that club is going through, and it must be really rubbish as a fan to go through that.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, you know, their players, and if I'm just going to give you a list of players that they've lost over the summer or that have left, and obviously some of them left because of breach of contract and all sorts of shenanigans. But they lost Gassama left winger went to Rangers. They got 2.4 million for him. Malik Wilkes, he went to a club called Pendikspor, which sounds Turkish. Paul Valentin, he went to Preston. Michael Smith, centre forward, went to Preston as well. Josh Windass went to Wrexham. Callum Patterson, these are all good players. MK Dons, and it goes on. You know, so they've lost a lot of players, and they've you know, not because of transfer embargoes, they haven't been able to bring anybody in. But the reason I'm saying that is because for everything we've said, often this can galvanise a team. You know, the fact that they are up against it, everyone expects them to be relegated. And, you know, they've shown over the last couple of games that they're ready to compete in this championship, and they will, in the face of adversity, that will be their motivation. So this game is actually quite a dangerous game, particularly off the back of our performance against Coventry.
Yeah.
We were awful.
And as much as he's going to get absolute pelters, Dad, someone like Barry Bannon in the middle of the park, he gives them that level of experience, doesn't he? You know, he's quite a cool, calm head in terms of composure.
He pulls the strings.
Exactly.
He's what makes them work, and, you know, he'll love coming to St Andrews.
Oh, he's going to be moody in there for him because of that tweet he put
out
when we got relegated.
He'll love it because he'll be motivated to give everything to, you know, make or score a goal. He will get some pelters for sure. But
Dad, before we get into the game, I just want to, as I always do, I just read the Sheffield Wednesday tweets and things out. So against Portsmouth, I just want to do the back-to-back ones. The top 3 was number 1, fair play, the better team today, quality fans that deserve better. That was from a Portsmouth fan commenting on the Sheffield Wednesday. Second one was didn't think we'd win all season, get in. And the third one was a stab at their rivals, mind the gap, Sheffield United. I thought that was quite funny. Top tweets against QPR, 7 points after playoffs. Where's the Chanziri haters? I thought that was a risky one because he's still not doing, you know, good things for the club. 4 points last 2 games. No one expected that. Should have took our chances, decent points. So again, just having an overview there, they look like a fan base that, although they know their problems, they know they're struggling, looks like they've hit some form and they're pretty happy about it, you know.
Yeah, good results as well. Because I've mentioned before that I fancy Portsmouth as a strong
Fratton Park's going to be difficult to go to.
Championship team. But their results, they started off with that. You mentioned that Leicester game, Matt. They narrowly lost that 2-1. They were in the lead for ages. I think Leicester scored 2 late goals. Then lost 3-0 at home to Stoke. And then their first points, after being 2-0 down, they drew 2-2 at Wrexham, which I thought was a very good result. Then they lost their next two games at home to both Swansea and Bristol City. Then the 2-0 win at Portsmouth and the 1-1 draw at QPR. So they're gonna come here, to St Andrews with a bit of confidence on the back of those results. And hopefully, for them, they'll want to continue on the positive momentum.
Do you reckon they'll come to St Andrews, Dad, and be a bit more apprehensive and defensive in terms of, we have seen at St Andrews this season against Ipswich and Swansea, teams that are supposed to be quite progressive and attacking, they do kind of sit back. And this isn't us blowing our own trumpet here, but we are, very strong at home. We're going on a crazy run from our last loss. We haven't lost at home in how many games now? It's
about 28
in the league. Sorry, the league, 28 games. And we do notice, don't we, teams tend to sit a little bit deeper. They tend to be a little bit more defensive-minded. I think they'll come and be a little bit like that, I think, in terms of not quite the low block that we saw in League One last season, but I think they'll put defence first because that's what I've seen from my research. Dad, we've done the Coventry pre-match, we've done the Swansea pre-match, and in our research, we always say, good press, high energy, don't let you have much time on the ball. Whereas when I've seen Sheffield Wednesday, they put defensive shape a bit more first over the high press because I think they know they're pretty wise to it and they know they get caught out and people break quickly. They are going to be in a bit of trouble just from squad depth, just from the availability of certain players, all these things. So they will put defensive shape over press. But again, we saw this last season, Dad, in League One. We do struggle, don't we, sometimes in breaking down teams from time to time.
It does, and they're hard to predict as well because I've looked at their, the way they set themselves up, and their manager Henrik Pedersen has set them up in different ways for different games. So he's played 3-4-1-2 twice, 3-5-2 3 times, and 5-3-2 twice. So
why can't we change the?
I don't know.
Why can't we adapt?
I don't know, but
I say in jest. But
what he's doing is trying to do that to accommodate the opposition, which I think is good management. It's like looking at a team saying, "Well, what's the best shape for my team?"
Yeah.
So it's hard to predict exactly what they will do. I don't think they'll come as a 5-3-2 because I don't think they'll come to us that defensive.
No.
So they may possibly play a 3-5-2, and then obviously with the two wingers actually coming back to effectively make it a 5-3-2 actually in defence, and then transition to 3-5-2 in attack. But they've been those last two games have put them in decent form there. Their home, so their away record, they picked up 4 points on the road so far from 3 games. Which is better than their home record. But the goals, they've only scored 6 goals, but we've only scored 5. They've scored 1 more goal than us in 7 games, so both teams are not high scorers. And defensively, they are 5th worst. Well, in fact, actually, they're 2nd worst, actually, because there's Hull on 14 conceded. Then there's a whole clutch of teams, including Sheffield Wednesday, conceded 13, whereas we've conceded 8. So there's not huge amounts of difference in the teams. Now, their style of play is, like a lot of teams, they do try and play with the wings because obviously when they're playing if they play a 3-5-2, then their wide players in that system are particularly crucial. So they like long balls as well. So take shots where they can. That's one thing I noticed as well, Matt, which is talking about us, is that we don't take shots that often, clearly. And I noticed when, at the time of recording this game for the preview for Sheffield Wednesday, we've just come off the back of the Coventry game. At the Coventry game, we had a number of occasions, even if it was from distance, we could have shot. We didn't. But you notice Coventry, get a chance, they shoot.
Exactly.
These seem to be that type of team. If they get a chance, they will shoot. They're not classified as the most aggressive team, but they're competitive. So obviously, middle of the park, we talked about Barry Bannon. He'll pull the strings. Well, he will. So they'll, and also as well, I think these players, because they haven't brought anybody in, they're going to be familiar with each other as well. Mm-hmm. So not as if they're integrating new players because they pretty much haven't.
And again, that is a underrated skill set to have in terms of team cohesion. Because there's nothing worse than and we've had this at Blues Dad last season, a little bit this season. You're watching your players gel together. Yeah, it takes time sometimes. Whereas when you've got a team that are just together, Wrexham come to mind. Yeah, over the years with Phil Parkinson, they've just got that togetherness. They know how to play together. They have that level of cohesion, and that brings a level of resilience that can't be understated.
No, that is something because of their familiarity, they're going to be comfortable with knowing where the players need to be at what time, and that is a really massively undervalued property.
And when you know each other like that, Dad, you fight for each other that little bit harder because you know each other, you know how you work, and that battle, that resilience, that strength is there then, isn't it?
Yeah, they're fighting for everything. But, they're good at counter-attacks as well, so we're going to have to watch that. And also, they obviously shooting from direct free kicks and also coming back from losing positions. Generally, that's something that's classified as a strength. But weakness, they've got quite a few weaknesses, and keeping possession of the ball is a weakness. So they're a team that I presume either don't mind playing out of possession, but I expect us to dominate possession. But we got to do.
They do generally play out of possession. Yeah, generally.
Yeah, they're good. Their weaknesses, finishing, scoring chances as well. Particular weaknesses are defending set pieces. That could be also of us, couldn't it? Mm-hmm. But they're weak at defending set pieces, and also their aerial duels as well. They're fairly weak, and we are as well because we haven't got the tallest of team as well. So I think some of their weaknesses are very familiar to the type of what we got at the moment. So it's going to be a really intriguing game. But again, some of their players, obviously, I know Dominic Iorfa, he's been around forever. He's their right back. He scored the goal against Queen's Park Rangers, I think, when they drew 1-1. Liam Palmer, is it? Jan Valery, some good players. Barry Bannon, we've mentioned as well. Bailey Cadamartri, he was on loan at Lincoln last year. We saw him playing for Lincoln in League One. I think it's George Brown as well. So
someone that's really impressed me is a left winger called Amas.
Yeah.
He's been really good. He looks really strong. He was phenomenal against Portsmouth. I didn't see him against QPR because, as you know, we've just come in the studio after the back of the 3 p.m. Saturday games, but he looked really impressive.
He's on. He's a left back. Actually.
Oh, is he left back? I thought he was a left winger.
Well, I presume they're playing him in that position, in that flying winger, almost like a Cochrane or a
Laird, maybe more.
Yeah. But he's on loan from Manchester United.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah, so that makes sense.
And they've also got a guy called Ethan Horvath, the goalkeeper. He's on loan from looks like Brighton.
Right.
So I think they're the only 2 loan players that they brought in because of their obviously financial problems. Top scorer at the moment, Barry Bannon with 2. Then they got Nathan Chalabar with 1, Dominic Oil for 1, and Bailey Cadamartri and George Brown with 1. So 2s and 1s.
I saw Barry Bannon's free kick against Portsmouth, and credit where it's due, it was a good free kick. He went across the goalkeeper instead of.
Listen, whether we like him or not, as an ex-Villa player, you can't argue that he's a quality player, and he's the one that he's like the orchestra, the conductor, isn't he? If you can silence him, you'll stop Sheffield Wednesday, I think. So he's one to really watch.
It's funny you've said that. A lot of my stuff is very similar, and mine comes from what I've seen as well. Width and transition is a big one. I've seen a few assists from their defenders doing overlaps and getting in through the back and then getting an assist through a crossing. Again, when you watch it in motion, it's actually quite impressive to watch. They do get up there with speed. But to me, that comes off the back of I've seen them counter-attack quite a lot. So again, they're quite adaptable. If they feel like they're going to dominate the ball, they will. But that isn't massively Sheffield Wednesday's game, but more than likely they'll probably put defensive shape first and then try and counter-attack, transition, catch you on the break, that sort of thing. And they're pretty good at it, actually, and they're clearly getting better with their recent form table. So, as you said, don't underestimate that togetherness, that resilience, that grittiness they're going to provide and bring. And one thing I have no doubt this is going to be, I think this could be quite a physical game, quite a physical battle. I think the midfield is going to be absolutely key, as you say, Barry Bannon, and we'll come to the Blues team in a minute, who we think are going to be in those midfield positions. But we need to be very careful of that. So, Blues team?
Yep, let's do it.
So you did the defence last time, I'll do the defence this time. You do the midfield and attack, and then we'll go for a score prediction.
Okay, let's go for it.
I'm going to go for Allsop in goal.
Yeah,
I'm going to go for.
Okay, before we go on that as well, do you think there might be an argument to give Beadle a chance?
Could be.
Because Allsop, I don't think he's been. He's a solid goalkeeper. Brilliant last season in League One. He's made a few mistakes this season. Is it again? This is not me saying this happens. By the way, this is me just thinking out loud. I'm asking the question: do you think it's time to give Beadle a go in goal?
It absolutely,
particularly against Sheffield Wednesday, his former club.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly. Dad, if I turned up on Tuesday and I saw Beadle on the team sheet, I wouldn't be surprised, and I wouldn't be upset about it.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the manager has to show a player isn't indispensable and is replaceable when they hit a bit of bad form. By the way, I don't think Allsop's done anything horrendous, or
it's just those niggly things.
He's just had.
There's a few niggles for me, Matt.
He's too casual for me.
Yeah.
In his distribution, a bit like Coventry, he passed it a couple of times. It was so casual. We were 2-0 down.
Yeah.
Bit of urgency. Yeah, so I think you're right, Dad. I think if you observe on the past few games, there has been some things there. I wouldn't be surprised if Beadle did start, but I'm going to plump full stop in this video.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll tell you who I'm thinking in a minute, but go on, Karen. Do the rest of your back line.
So I'll go for Cochrane left back. I think he's going to get back
Yeah.
Because obviously he did come on against Coventry, didn't he? I was about to bring up the concussion thing there, but that's he's clear of that now.
He's going to have to be because Laird's injured.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to go for Cashin on the left side of centre back, Clara on the right side of centre back with Asoy Samuel at right back.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to put Neumann back because he clearly favours that balance that a left footer gives, and we saw Cashin come on against Coventry.
Yeah.
So
he brought Cashin on when Robinson got sent off, so clearly he's favouring the left footer.
So just to confirm with names: Allsop, Cochrane, Cashin, Clara, Asoy Samuel.
Okay, well, short and sweet. Mine's exactly the same.
Okay,
I think with the Laird injury, it takes out that jeopardy we've always had in that position. Do we put Bright? Do we put Cochrane? Do we put Asoy Samuel in the left and right back position?
I mean,
now that Laird's injured, I think those two positions fill themselves.
You've raised the point, so I'm going to guess you agree with it as well. But again, would you be surprised to see Beadle start against Sheffield Wednesday?
No, I wouldn't. And again, I'm not saying that Allsop's a bad goalkeeper. I just think that in order to just remind Allsop, hey, you got competition here. And he's been solid for us. But I think I think Allsop is like a lot of players at the moment. They're not reaching the levels that we expect them to. I'm talking they're good players, but you need to be better than that to get to be in our team. And in terms of what the manager and the owners want, there's something not quite right with a number of players in terms of their levels at the moment. Not saying that they're all good players, but they're just not. They're not doing that extra bit that they need to do. Some of them, I think, also possibly, and I might probably get criticised for this in the comments, but I'm only saying what I see.
I think Awata's in there as well. Hasn't quite hit the levels that we saw last season in League One.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dad, let's go into the midfield because that kind of segues us in quite nicely.
Yeah. So like I said, we both sort of agree on the back line. So I've gone for Paik and Awata in the 60s because Chris Davies always picks them. Although there is an argument say when is Tommy Daw going to start? When are you going to start? I don't think he will in this game. But having said that though, possibly because we've got a game against Wrexham on the Friday, having come off the back of a game on the Saturday, is there maybe a chance here to try things out? But I have gone for Paik and Awata in the 60s, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a change. Maybe, it would be Tommy Doyle, but also what about Mark Leonard as well? Is he worth a go? But I think Chris Davies will stick with Paik.
The one thing I'll say about Mark Leonard, Dad, he gives you a bit of bite.
Yeah,
I quite like his tenacity sometimes. And don't get me wrong, against Sheffield United in the Cup, he had a bit of a stinker. It wasn't a great game, but Port Vale. No one really painted themselves in glory that night. It was a pretty dire performance all around. But what I do like about what Mark Leonard brings is that bite. Just a little shout out there that I do quite like Mark Leonard.
Well, we did say, Matt, didn't we, that from the Coventry performance, which was pretty bad, that I know we were down to 10 men. Look at the post-match video if you want to look at that and what our thoughts are on that game. But we did say that something we couldn't just keep doing the same thing. So if Chris Davies keeps picking Paik and Awata, that's not really changing anything. But then, do you need to change in those positions? Possibly. Okay. So, but I've gone. But I have still plumped for them in the starting lineup because that's what I think Chris Davies will do. And on the left. What I'd like to see Patrick Roberts start this game on the right, okay? Because he didn't start against Coventry, came on as a substitute. Then I would go for Kumas on the left and possibly give Dimi a game on the bench, maybe have him ready for the Wrexham game. So I'd go for Kumas on the left. On the right, I would go for Patrick Roberts. Then I'd go for Stano in the 10, and I'm going to go for Kyogo up front. Because I thought, we had this conversation again about Lyndon Dykes starting, but he only came and started against Coventry because Dux got injured in the warm-up. And I don't think that Dykes is a starter for me. I don't think he gives you that level of pace that you need for, 70-plus minutes before you bring a sub on or whatever it is. So I'm going to go for Kyogo to start, but that does leave us a little bit light physically up front.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So that's my only worry. So just to confirm, my midfield and forward line, it's Paik and Awata in the 60s. I've gone for Kumas on the left, Roberts on the right, Stano in the 10, feeding to Kyogo number 9.
Very similar. I've made 2 changes. So off the back of that conversation, I have put Tommy Doyle in my midfield, and it comes back to what you said, the game congestion. So I think he might rest, but it's who he rests, isn't it? Because the argument would be Paik because they're similar in terms of the progressive, they're the passing, they get you forward, they get you on the ball, and Awata's the break-up man. Because a lot of people are saying, why can't you have Paik and Tommy Doyle? And I'm not against that. It's not as if it can't work, but they're very similar.
Yeah.
So you'd be getting 2 similar types of midfielders where you do generally need your break up play, don't you? You need,
We
you
do
need your
need,
powerhouse.
you know,
need your.
one thing I was surprised we didn't do in the summer transfer window is get cover for Iwata.
Agreed, yeah.
That having that disruptor,
Yeah.
and obviously he gets injured. We haven't got that type of player anymore.
Yeah.
Well, not that quality and type of player. I think Leonard is probably the closest.
I'd agree with that. I
yeah,
think Leonard would be the
yeah,
closest
yeah.
to that kind of player.
Yeah.
But for that reason, I'm going to give Paik a rest for this game. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Tommy Doyle and Iwata in the midfield. And that works for twofold for me. One, it gives Paik a bit of a rest. It gives him a bit of time on the bench. Nothing wrong with that. Rest the legs a bit. And it gives Tommy Doyle a chance to step up and show what he's capable of in his right position.
Yeah.
It gives him a chance to step up in the midfield for once, you know. Then I've gone for Dimmy Gray on the left. I'm still going to plump for Dimmy Gray. Stano in the 10.
Yeah.
Patrick Roberts on the right and feeding to Kogo as
So
well.
you go for Kogo
I've gone
as
for Kogo. My only difference that is Tommy Doyle in the 6 and Damari Gray on the left as opposed to Kumas.
Yeah, okay. So quite similar team.
But Davies seems quite loyal to Kumas, doesn't he? So I wouldn't be surprised to see either Patrick Roberts or Damari Gray on the bench for Kumas.
We might see a bit of a shake-up in as much as because of having like 3 games in effectively 6 days, if you count the Coventry, this game and the Wrexham game, we may see a bit of a shake-up. And also injuries are now going to be... And also, don't forget, we've got the suspension of Jack Robinson as well, so he's not in our teams either at the moment, so that brings other players in as well. But this is why we have a squad. Fujimoto came on against Coventry, but it's hard to judge him on that because we were dead and buried by the time he came on. I don't think he's ready to start yet, Fujimoto.
Where's Keshi Anderson? Still injured?
Injured, I believe.
Still injured?
Yeah, I believe so.
So score prediction, Dad? I think I went first for the Coventry game, so you can go first for this one.
Well, on the basis that, we're both low-scoring teams, I'm just going to go for a 1-0 home win.
A 1-0 home win.
Because, like I said, they scored 6 goals, we scored 5, both played 7 games, so it's not going to be a goal. I doubt it's going to be a goal fest, so I'm going to go 1-0.
I've gone even worse than you. I've gone for our first stalemate.
You gone for 0-0?
I've gone for 0-0 draw.
Yeah.
I think they'll come in for straight. I think they'll try and do what we did in the Coventry game for the first 10 or 15 minutes. We were quite direct and we were frustrating Coventry. Obviously, then they scored and we got a red card and it all went to pot, basically. But I think they're going to come to St. Andrews and frustrate.
Yeah.
And we're not a high-scoring team, are we? Come on, Blues fans. It's the one thing we can put our hands up on. So I think this has got all the makings, in my opinion, for a 0-0.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I've got between us, we've gone for 1 goal.
We've gone for fascinating 2 games between us,
1-0 and 0-0. Yeah, but that's interesting. But I mean, one of those games that I think that's intriguing because we know that Sheffield Wednesday have been struggling. They've got an upturn in form, but also you could argue at the moment we've been inconsistent in our foot form as well. So this makes for a very, very interesting game. As you can see, what me and Matt think in terms of the team formation, and also the prediction of the score. I'd love to know what you think. So add your comments below and let us know what you think. If you're a Sheffield Wednesday fan and you've come across the podcast for the first time, we also welcome comments from the fans of opposition teams. All we ask is that you keep them clean and respectable and not aggressive. We are a family podcast, and we know that families, children, etc. watch our podcast, but we all accept all comments from all fans as long as they don't breach those boundaries. If you did like this podcast, as always, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels already, then pop along to our X page and our Instagram page. And if you'd like to watch or listen to your podcast on Spotify, you'll also find us on there. And you'll see the handles appearing on the screen for all of these channels right now. If you haven't subscribed to your channel already and you'd like to, then hit that big red subscribe button. And if you want notifications every time myself and Matt put a new podcast out, hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button for that to happen. So that's it for this podcast. Myself and Matt will see you on the next one, all about Birmingham City.